Live. Team, we're live. We're live, team. Can we get a hello?
Hello.
Oh, Heidi. Hello, how are you? Welcome. Thanks for coming in. I think we need to do a quick introduction from you. Yeah.
For me?
Yeah.
Okay. And we're live right now.
We're live. Go ahead.
Holy smokes. Back up a little bit.
Oh, this is Desiree, guys. This is Desiree. She's welcome. Friend. Welcome. All right, moving on.
Hey, we're sideways.
No, we can't be.
We're sideways.
What about this?
We are sideways.
Did you flip it after the video started? Or after
I just tried flipping it again. We'll see what happens.
Let's see. Oh, wait. And it is...
Sarah, can you say hi?
Oh, hi, guys. Hey. Wait. We're good.
Oh, fixed it.
Nope.
Yay.
Nope.
Gosh, dang
We're
it.
back.
There's no other way for me to...
You're probably gonna have to shut it off and start again.
Oh, that's a selfie. This is our beautiful store. I might have to cut out and come back, guys. We'll be right back.
We'll be right back. We're going to switch the...
We're live.
Is it better?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm refreshing.
I mean, it looks the exact same on my end.
Okay.
So,
It's not helpful for you that it doesn't
no, it's not helpful for me.
tell you what orientation it is. Now I'm looking for a video. Our new stream.
It says no.
Doesn't exist.
It's correct on Facebook.
It is?
Nice.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Is anyone monitoring YouTube? Because they were neglected last time.
I can keep an eye on Facebook, Heidi, if you want to keep an eye on YouTube.
I'm doing it.
Sorry, I'm just pulling up the video. You want to talk to him or something?
Oh, yeah, sure, guys. Welcome. We're going to be doing the Hibiscus live today.
Here we go.
Sorry, I didn't notice the silence. I was making sure this thing was on. I don't know. It's a beautiful,
There we go.
balmy 46 degrees outside in the Midwest, Hamilton, Missouri.
Yep, starting to get chilly now. Okay. Hello, welcome. Thank you so much for being here with us. We're doing our hibiscus.
Did you cast to YouTube again the second time you joined?
Both times.
Because it's not showing up. It's only the old one.
Can you guys tell us if we're on YouTube?
Sometimes YouTube is the worst.
Teresa says that we're good on Facebook and YouTube.
Okay, it's not showing up.
Yeah, sometimes it doesn't show up for me here.
Okay, we'll work it
Okay.
Okay, so we just are doing a fun little live to show you guys how to paint a hibiscus. So here's some practice sheets. This is kind of what we're going to work. We have Caitlin here who works our store. She does an amazing job. And she's going to paint with me using a different set of colors. So for me, the colors that I'm doing is, I like the pinks and the yellows. So you can use magenta or fuchsia. These are the Dandelion Paint Company paints. And then I also have a yellow, and you can do dandelion, lemon, or deep yellow. All three would work great. I also have a green and a blue for my leaves, because I like those colors for leaves. So, this is just a fun little loose tutorial, and what I'm going to do, what colors are you using, Caitlin?
I'm going to use orchid and amethyst.
Okay,
And
cool.
same in the dandelion.
Mm.
So
Okay.
I really like the purples, so.
And hibiscus are so many different colors, so you guys really can have fun on your color choices.
I wasn't sure if this was a business flower, the hibiscus flower, or the biscuit flower. I got confused a couple times.
It's fine. Words are hard to keep.
Words are hard. Thank you so much.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is just thinking about a hibiscus flower. There's a couple things that I want you guys to keep in mind as you're painting this. They usually have about 5 petals, and I just want you to keep in mind the perspective when you're painting. So I'm going to be painting as if we're looking over top the flower, okay? So everything is going to appear flat. That affects how we do our center pokey out stamen, thank you. Well, I thought the little dots around were the stamen.
I don't remember what they're called.
What part was what?
There's like 6 names.
Yeah, scientifically.
Yes.
But if you were to look at this flower more from the side, then the middle stamen would actually be poking up from the petals, and then the petals would be down here. Does that make sense? It just depends on your perspective.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm gonna do it flat. Okay. Yeah, let me know if you guys can't hear me very well.
Do you want to come to the other side, or are you okay with this side?
Why don't you come to the other side? Because I feel like there's shadows.
Okay.
Elizabeth asked if this is a bonus project. There's no bonus kit. This is just a fun freebie tutorial for you guys to have and to hold and to paint. So it's just fun.
To have and to hold. I feel like that's a phrase.
Okay, so I'm going to start by grabbing a little bit of the pink that I'm using and adding water to it because I want this to be a light color that I'm initially putting down. So this is just, I think this is magenta with water. If you want a more peachy color, which I am a huge fan of those peachy blushes, just grab a tiny bit of yellow and mix that in there. And then depending on how peachy you want it to be would be depend on how much yellow you put in there. So I'm gonna put a little bit more pink in there because I still want it to be on the pink side. And then I made this wash and now I'm going to do my petals. So actually, no, I'm sorry. I'm gonna start with the center. That's what we're starting with. And that's where this is tricky because we're doing overhead. The middle is where we're gonna wanna start with because if we painted our entire flower and then try to do a yellow middle on top, it won't show up very well because watercolor is transparent and yellow is a natural light value. So we're actually gonna put that in first and then paint around it so we don't lose it. So I'm going to grab yellow. And if you want your yellow to be darker, you can mix a little bit of the pink in there for like an orangey color. And I'm going to start in the center of wherever I want my flower to be. Let's say that this is gonna be the center of my flower. And I'm gonna do about an inch long curve. That's a little over an inch. You can change the lengths, but it's about an inch. And it's gonna be slightly curved. And then I'm gonna do dots around the top. And the dots can overlap. They don't need to be perfectly spaced out from each other, okay? So they are running into each other. And that is true to how we would see these little stamens. I'm just saying stamen for all the parts.
Whatever it is.
It's stamens or petal.
Yeah, yes, there we go.
There you go.
Okay, so after we do our middle, I'll start with the petals. So now I'm gonna grab that pinky wash. And when you think of hibiscus flowers, they're really like wavy. So you want to start where your middle is, and they're kind of roundish in shape. So you're not making petals like this. You want them to be nice and round, like so.
There's gonna be some shadows on this because there are lights everywhere.
Yes.
Can you just show the colors one more time? They were
sure.
asking for a repeat, so maybe just show them.
Yeah, I'm using magenta, sea blue, lemon yellow, and emerald green. Of course, you can switch these out with whatever you want to use. Caitlin is using amethyst and orchid, so she's making more of a purple hibiscus. And there's red ones, there's orange ones, there's yellow ones. There's so many different colors, so you really can use whatever colors you have. Okay, so after I make my petal shape, I'm gonna fill it in using that nice light wash that we have. And to make a light wash, you're just gonna wanna add water. That's why I grabbed color out and pulled it to the side and then put water in there. And then to get this kind of effect of that two-tone is when this is nice and wet, I'm gonna pick up some of this magenta and drop it right while it's wet on the center of my petal and just let it bleed. I'm not gonna move it, I'm just gonna drop it right in there and let it go. And I'm just gonna repeat that process for the 5 petals. Now the other thing I want you guys to keep in mind when you're painting your hibiscus is that the petals run into each other and overlap. So I don't want you to be doing your petals so spaced out like this. Okay, hibiscus are they run into each other like so. Okay, you see the difference between the two? Okay. Look at that. That turned out cool. And if you want to do water drops on top to like just mess up texture and stuff, I'm always a fan of that. Okay, so I'm going to grab my peachy pink. And I'm going to do my second petal. And remember, petals don't have to be the same exact copies of each other. They're all going to have different wrinkles and different angles, and they're going to be different from each other, and that is totally okay. Now, because these petals overlap, they run into each other, and these colors are going to bleed. That is totally normal. If that's frustrating you a lot, then when you do your next petal, just leave a tiny bit of space, like a really thin line in between.
I was gonna say that usually bothers me when I do mine, and so I try to go just kind of around it when I'm going.
If you want to look
so that way
at,
they don't bleed. You
see how she leaves the thinnest little space in between those two petals? So they still overlap because it's running into the other one, but it's leaving a space where those strong colors are bleeding, so they won't bleed into each other. And it's just personal preference. So we're gonna fill it in using our light wash, and then when it's wet, drop your color. And it's just gonna spread out. Now, when you get to your other side of your petals, you're just gonna avoid the middle, the stamen. So I'm just painting around it. If you accidentally touch it, it's not a huge deal. The color will just kind of bleed out, but that's not a big deal. Like there, that's me touching it. But I kind of like how that did that, so I don't care. See
I
that?
like that too, that's kind of fun.
Yeah. But if that happens and that bothers you, you can just lift up the color using a paper towel. So if that yellow is bothering me, I'll just do that, and then it's gone pretty much.
Voila.
Voila. Problem solved. So I'm going to fill it in and then drop in the color. And that one spread. And most of the time when the paint spreads, I just let it go and let it do its thing, because that's how you make unique art. That's how you make accidental art. It's just kind of embracing what the paint does. But I would like to say that there are tricks to kind of changing things if you don't like it. So if that spread too far for you, you can lift up some of that color a little bit. If it's too much, you can just take your clean brush and just pick up that extra pigment. Like so. And then when it dries a little bit more, you can go in and redarken that area right in the middle. Okay, and then I'll do one more petal, working around my stamen. Then I'm going to take my magenta and drop it right there. Just let it bleed a little bit. And if you want to do a second layer of that dark pink right in the middle, I sometimes like to do that too, just for that extra punch of color. Now, hibiscus also, I feel, are kind of a papery flower. Like the petals are thin and wrinkled a little bit, and so we will do some texture lines, but we want to make sure that this is dry before we do that. So we're going to work on another area. While we wait for that to dry, we can do some leaves. So I'm going to just grab some emerald green and sea blue. And remember, ooh, wait, look at Caitlin's, how her purple turned out in there. Look at that, where that bled. That is so beautiful.
And that I just added a little bit of extra water on the edge of that and just let it go a little bit further.
Gorgeous texture. Look at that. That is why watercolor is so great. So great. Okay.
I'm going to do a little bit of pine green, I think, for my leaves.
Yeah, pine green is a nice cool green. Okay. So this is sea blue, which is such a gorgeous color by itself. And it really has that like tropical blue feel to me. So I'm going to mix a little bit of green in there. And again, this is just like a fun, loose illustration, so you can make your leaves any shape. I'm just going to do kind of a standard leaf where it narrows at the top and the bottom and then gets wide in the middle. And then I like to spread that out. And then when it's wet, I'm going to do that same technique of dropping in
color and just letting it spread. And if you want to do water drops in there too, just for texture, that's fun. Also, if you want to do more like palm leaves, then for that, I'm going to do a stem and do long skinny, like so.
Sarah, someone mentioned that hibiscus flowers are serrated or have the rough edges, so maybe you could show how to do that as well. The like spiky edges of the leaf.
Oh, their leaves have the spiky edges. Okay, yeah. So if you want to add a little bit of serration to your leaves, and I didn't pull up a reference of an actual hibiscus leaf, so thank you for pointing that out. When I do spiky leaves, a lot of the times what I'll do is I'll paint my regular leaf, and then I'll go along the edge and just kind of like do some poke outs like this. I wish I should bring up a picture of one because I'm not sure if this is exactly how they're serrated. But you kind of just do little poke outs from the side, like so. And then my green's bleeding into my flower a little bit, but whenever that happens, I don't get mad because this is just what watercolor does. You know what I mean? It's just doing its job. And a lot of times you're just going to get some really fun, cool textures, so it's not a huge deal. Yeah, I would like to see what those leaves actually look like.
Because it's not an approved photo necessarily.
Okay, yep. Okay, so looking at a actual hibiscus leaf, it's still pretty pointed at the top and it gets nice and wide at the bottom, so I'm just going to widen that out. And then it's serrated, but it's not like crazy serrated. It's just every now and then it's poking out like that. Ooh, yeah, that's pretty. And then I feel like these long, skinny leaves like this are really tropical feeling to me. Maybe not. Maybe I'm crazy, but that's the feeling I get. And you can do another more on the other side. Again, there's nothing wrong with just experimenting. Sometimes it's about just sitting down and just saying like, I'm not going to plan this out. I'm just going to go for it and just start painting, and I'm just going to see what happens. And I'm going to do one more green leaf over here, but I'm going to make it smaller because this leaf got really big. So I'm just going to make that a little bit smaller. There we go.
Oh my, I think my leaves ended up being a lot smaller.
Look at the texture that Caitlin got on hers. Those are water drops, yeah? Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
Yep, and then I just added a little bit of that blue back into there. So.
Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Okay, now we're gonna do our very last step, which is just putting in a little bit of texture. So I'm going to grab my peachy mixture here. And you just want it to be a slightly darker value than what you already have going on. So it's a good idea to like test it. And if I can see it, then we're good. If it's too dark that it looks like I'm adding like black stripes to your painting, then maybe add a little bit of water or something to lighten it up just a little bit. And then along the edges, it's similar to when we did our hollyhock tutorial where we kind of just went in and just did these darker lines that kind of angle towards the middle of the flower. And it's going to give us that feel that they're kind of wrinkling and overlapping with each other. And you can just do that all across your 5 petals. I don't have like a formula where I do like 3 or 4. I just kind of do it every so often. But if you're looking at an exact reference photo, then that can inform you how many you do. And there we go. And if you want to go into your stamen and do darker orange dots like right on top now that it's dry, that's something fun I like to do too. Just to add a little bit of a dimension to the center of our flower. I will say bless you when you sneeze. And you can see here, like, when I do leaves, I don't always fill them in. Sometimes it's fun just to do an outline. Really let yourself play. Don't think that there's any rules that you have to do or, like, totally abide by. You just want to experiment and have fun. And that's it. That's our hibiscus. So good job, you guys.
Yay. Thanks for tuning in. Caitlin, thanks for being with me. Yours turned out beautiful.
I think it was good up until like the very, very last step.
No, and what I love about it too is the washes that you got on here within your petals. When you went in and kind of made them a little bit bigger at different times and they dried differently. I just think that this is the really beautiful thing about watercolor that we need to embrace. Or there's going to be all these accidental moments that are really fun and really make artwork unique. So have fun with this. And sorry, I'm trying to think of the things I needed to say. 2 things I need to say, which is, this is not the tutorial for a Let's Make Art Matter postcard. That will be a live that we're going to do next week. We will email you with that information, and Katie will make an event in our Facebook group. But this is different. You are more than welcome to paint this hibiscus for the Let's Make Art Matter postcard for October. You can paint whatever you want. But our official live is going to be next week for that, so just keep an eye out. Make sure you're subscribed to or follow our page so you'll be notified when we do events. And the other thing is our November boxes are going to start shipping. They might have already started, and it's a few days of process of shipping, so keep an eye out. But just so you guys are not surprised, we have bleed-proof white in there, which I'm so excited about. So you'll have 4 full colors of bottles and then some bleed-proof white to do our projects. So that's going to be super fun. Keep an eye out for that. Those should be shipping in the next week. I think that's all I gotta say. I'm looking at Heidi if I need to be. Okay, you guys are so great. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.
Bye.